are listening to the Balancing Act podcast. Here's your hosts, Jamie Wonko and Joe Vitale.
Guess what? We are officially recording.
Oh, yeah. Welcome everyone to the Balancing Act podcast. I am Jamie Wonko here with Mr. Joseph Vitale. Hello, Mr. Vitale.
Hello, Mrs. Wonko. How are you? I have a confession to make. I got another confession to make.
Oh my goodness.
As my man Dave
Confessions
Grohl,
of a shopaholic?
as my man Dave Grohl would sing in one of my favorite songs, "Best of You." Shout out '90s. I covered someone's class today. And
you did?
Yeah, and I was like, oh, someone asked for a charger. So I was like looking for a charger. And then I found the snacks. So I stole a Snickers bar out of your snack drawer.
My chargers are zip tied for all of you who would
Yeah.
like a featured hot tip of the day.
I didn't know.
They're zip tied. They should know that. They've been living in my classroom
There
for 6
is.
months.
But one particular student was like, oh, do you have an extra charger? And I was like,
No.
I don't.
Once the two are full, we don't do that.
Yeah, that's fine. Well, I didn't know that. Now I do.
No, it's okay.
Um,
They do though. You know, that's a very good point.
Yeah.
About, the children know what to expect in there.
So-
Were you there 6th period?
I was there in period 6. Shout out period 6.
Although I have to say 6th period after, if they use their computers a lot during the day, like that is the class
yes.
that needs them more than others. But yeah,
That is correct because when
Yeah.
I get to the end of my day, that happens as well. So I hope you're not mad at me for stealing snacks. So
Why
I just
would
want
I
to
be mad?
just want to make sure, friend. I'm
the
stealing
snacks in my desk or the snacks in the closet?
the snacks in your there's snacks in the closet too.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
well,
yeah.
someone might be covering the rest of the week.
There you
Oh,
go.
gonna be snack captain. All right. So hey, you know what else? Our season 3 is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Teachers Insurance Plan. Make sure you check out their website, which is linked in our episode, for more information. And to get a quote, Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah, they do. And before we bring in our special guest, I just want to say to you, James, friend, I really appreciate you doing such nice things for me on my birthday. It was my 50th birthday a few weeks ago, and Jamie was nice enough to get some videos from coworkers and my kids and my wife, and it was a very nice low-key day, which is exactly what we needed, and I really appreciated you going the extra mile and doing that stuff and putting it together because it was really fun.
Very
So-
welcome. I support the elderly in every way, in any way.
She did give me a card, which was my second favorite card because I got a card from my dog Darius, who I love more than life itself. And hers was happy 80th birthday. You jerk you. So I'm already putting plans in the motion for her birthday, which is
We have a lot
many
of
years
months.
from now, right? Yeah.
A lot of months. Oh,
So-
I thought you meant like my this year birthday.
Yeah. So why don't we, now that
Yeah.
we're bantering here, I think we have our guest waiting in the wings. Let's bring her in and get
Fly
to
her on
talking
in.
today. All right.
That's right.
So, hey, Gillian Ober, 2026 New Jersey Teacher of the Year. Welcome to the Balancing Act podcast. Thanks a lot for joining us today.
Hello, thank you for having me. It's my first official podcast, so I'm very excited.
Oh my goodness, we are honored to
Yes.
be your very first podcast. I'm sure first of many on your year-round tour that you're taking as
Yes.
the New Jersey Teacher of the Year. Congratulations.
Congratulations,
Thank you.
yes. I have
Thanks.
2 questions to start out with. Number 1, I'd like to know, is there a runner-up Teacher of the Year where if you can't perform your Teacher of the Year duties, they take over, a la Miss America?
I don't know. I never thought of it.
number two, did you compete against 2025 Teacher of the Year Stephanie Lockenauer in some kind of American Gladiator like competition to take over the
Yes.
title of 2026 New Jersey Teacher of the Year?
Yeah, they set up like an obstacle course in the parking lot of the DOE. There was a mud pit. We were, fighting. Yeah, yep.
Nice. It's New Jersey. It's New Jersey themed. You jump over a gabagool or something like that. Isn't that
Exactly.
right?
Yeah, a little pork roll situation at the
Oh,
end.
nice. Oh, pork. All right. Is it pork roll? Is that what we're arguing? Are we?
Yeah, I'm team pork roll.
Your
Yeah.
team pork roll? I think
I'm gonna get a lot of heat for that one.
I think so, right? It's, for those of you not listening in New Jersey, it's always been is it
I
Taylor
always say
ham or
this-
is it
I
pork
always
roll?
say Taylor ham. I say Taylor ham, and I always think of, I had a friend in college who was from Hamilton Square, and her dad grew up in Trenton, and he
Okay.
worked at the Taylor ham factory. And I would spend some time with her family, and he would talk about his work at the Taylor ham factory and why it was called, all the things. So in my mind, it's always Taylor ham. But I mean, it's delicious whether you call it Taylor ham or pork roll. So I'll have it either way.
This is
true.
Yeah, this is definitely a regional argument, and
well, and then I make the mistake of saying, "Well, I'm from Central Jersey," and then you get people that are like, "Central Jersey? What do you? There's North and South."
Well, listen, we are Central Jersey. We are Central Jersey people. So there are some people that believe like when you go over the Driscoll Bridge on the Parkway that you are in South Jersey, and I'm like, absolutely not. That is not a thing because you can't say some of those towns are South Jersey. There's no way.
Yeah,
I mean, South Jersey to me is like South Jersey to me is like Tom's Riverish and South. That's me.
Yep.
But because I mean that's just because of how we were traveling as kids and going down to LBI in the summertime and stuff like that. So
exactly same.
We're really excited to have you with us. And I definitely want to hear like what your journey was like. Well, first of all, your background in teaching, of course, like. How many years you've been in the classroom and what subjects you teach and all that fun stuff. We'd love to hear about what makes Gillian Ober in the classroom.
So I've been teaching in New Jersey public schools now for about, I think this is going to be my 8th year. And I started off teaching Spanish my first year, and it was great. That's what I did my student teaching in, but I just kind of knew teaching ESL was kind of my calling. And that's when I started working in Freehold Borough. So I've been there ever since, and I was in 5th grade for 6 years. And then this year I actually got moved to our middle school. So I'm in 7th grade now, doing ESL I have like my own ELA class, and then I push in to math classes. But I guess kind of my journey to get here, I had no idea I wanted to be a teacher. Oh. I kind of, no clue. I went to Boston University, chose the most expensive school in the country that I'm still paying for.
Oh, okay.
And, didn't know what I wanted to do and kind of found it along the way. I kind of joke with my family and friends. It took me 26 countries and a trip around the world to figure out that teaching was for me. I moved abroad to Spain and I taught there for a bit. And then I wanted to kind of push myself because I'm bilingual in English and Spanish. So I didn't know if I was just having a really good time in Spain and enjoying living there and eating cheese and all the good food. And I wanted to kind of like put myself to the test. So I originally had a job in Beijing, and when I was about to move there, the school went bankrupt. So I was kind of like, all right, what do I do now? And I applied for this fellowship through Princeton in Asia in Thailand. And I ended up getting it. So I taught in Thailand for a year. And that was when I realized, I call it now like my monsoon moment. It was in the middle of a monsoon. I was in my classroom that was kind of like half open air, half classroom. It's pouring. I'm soaked to the bone. There's like puddles in my classroom. And I'm standing there watching my students and kind of just thinking to myself, like, how am I not absolutely miserable right now? And just watching the kids and like having that moment of like, this is why I'm not miserable right now. Like these kids are standing here working. They're excited to be learning. They're practicing their English. They've come so far since I first met them. So that was kind of how I figured out, okay, I want to teach. And I came back right when I moved back and went to grad school, and the rest is kind of history.
The monsoon moment. I like that one. Very cool.
Yeah, it's kind of as I've like, when you tell the story, I'm like, yeah, that's what I knew, the monsoon.
Yeah.
And so after your experiences abroad, you came back to the United States and...
Yeah, and like a month later, I applied to grad school at Monmouth University, got into the program, and started... So I did a degree in K-12 Spanish and K-12 ESL, because I just wasn't sure. I wanted to leave my options open. I know those were two areas where there was a shortage, so I was trying to set myself up for a job, basically.
Yeah,
nice.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We Joe and I in our school district had taught in the ESL school, and and then just last year, or is it the beginning of this school year?
Yes, right? It was. I think it was.
It was last year. They took. They used to bus like all of the kids from our school district just to one building.
So we were like the magnet school where all the middle school kids went to.
And
So
the
Got
state
it.
said, you can't do that anymore. So they sent sort of the kids back to what would be considered their home schools or the schools closer to their houses.
Right.
And so we've kind of watched our district have to learn how to do that. Everybody had to learn how to be an ESL teacher, and
Yeah.
it was certainly something that I wasn't familiar with until I moved to the school 4 years ago, and so it was definitely like, wow, what am I doing?
It's the biggest undertaking for me post-COVID,
Yeah.
because of sheltered instruction and having kids that are like, not only are many of the students in they're in regular education classrooms. A lot of them are my goodness, ICR classrooms where there's an additional teacher in there. There are students
Right.
that already have special needs. An ELL student has deficiencies in language. They could be deficient, school interrupted. They could have years that they're deficient in their native language, and also be at varying levels in the ELL program, beginner, intermediate, and advanced, all in the same classroom. So when I tell you it's like plate spinning to try and figure out how I'm going to teach material, but also make sure it's supported and scaffolded enough to support an ELL student, that post-COVID to me is probably is by far the most challenging teaching experience that I've had,
Yeah.
Since 2020.
No,
So-
it definitely is challenging, and I not to call out a word that you use, but I think it's kind of like a way that we have to shift our mindset a little bit is instead of thinking, oh, they're deficient in this or they're deficient in that, we have to find these kids are bringing so much to our classroom. The language piece, is going to take time and it's going to come. But so many of these students have these lived experiences and life skills that we can tap into. But it's not maybe the traditional way that we've learned to teach. So it's also too that how we're all being trained to be teachers, there has to be a shift because now I presented with Stephanie Lockenauer the other night. I was running an event at Monmouth University, and the name of it was When We All Become Multilingual Educators, because it's really something, it's not just going to be the ESL teacher down the hall anymore. We have these kids in all of our classrooms, and we all need to, you don't know what you don't know, right? So if you're not trained in how to help them, it's going to be really challenging. It's going to be hard.
Yeah, and we're not. So I'm kind of, we're using a term that I've used before, and one of our previous guests recently used it. Building the plane as we're flying it. We're just figuring it out as we go.
Yeah.
And it's a big undertaking, and a challenging
Jillian,
one. Yeah.
Sorry, Joe. So Jillian, tell us, you started teaching, and your road to becoming or being, crowned as New Jersey Teacher of the Year started after you picked this this was your platform, or this is just something that, you really focused on because it meant so much and was so important to you?
I think kind of as I've started the journey of having this title, I've kind of had to do some of the work to hone in on, because when you get crowned the State Teacher of the Year, everyone's kind of oh, what's your project? What's your thing? And there's lots of things that I'm passionate about, but I kind of had to start finding ways to better articulate it. And I think through the work that I've done at my district, I've kind of settled on those two areas of trying to help better prepare all teachers to work with multilingual learners. And then sort of the advocacy piece, some of the work that I've done with my students and their families facing immigration crisis and ways that I've been able to help them navigate that was a role I never necessarily expected to step into. But because of the relationships I build with my students and their families, it kind of just started happening. And I was sort of learning to fly the plane as we were already in the air, or however that expression goes.
Building the plane as we're flying it.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. You said something when you were just talking there about what's your project. We'd love to know what exactly does the New Jersey Teacher of the Year do? What is your I know that you're not in the classroom right now. You're on sabbatical, right? And you're down at the DOE. So we'd love to hear what that actually looks like and what your day-to-day is and what you're working on.
Yeah, so I didn't really know what to expect because I think every state teacher of the year kind of has a different. I feel like it's kind of like a pick your own adventure.
Oh,
Because you work at the DOE, but some people find like, they're going and visiting a ton of classrooms, or some people find, they're getting asked to speak at a ton of conferences. And what's kind of beautiful about it is like the flexibility. Like, you are working in the Department of Ed, but if you have other things going on, it's not like I have to be there every single day. And that was something that I kind of understood more as it got closer to me actually starting the sabbatical. So I go into the office about 3 days a week. And, at first I kind of got there, and I'm a bit of like a perfectionist, and I need to be doing things at all times. So I was kind of like, okay, what do I do? Like, how do I get started? So we kind of like started off with, Nancy Basant is the coordinator for like all the honored educators, and she, sort of runs the program for the State Teacher of the Year. So I got set up with all these meetings to sort of meet different directors in different fields, kind of pertaining to areas that I might have an interest, like, so that advocacy work, helping educate more about multilingual learners, also, being an honored educator myself, kind of exploring some of what Nancy and the team that I kind of fall under were doing. So I'm laughing at myself now, because in the beginning I was like, I have to make sure I'm like doing enough. Like, I'm here, I gotta make the most of this time. And now I find myself, I'm like, okay, I have lots of projects now. I've got my hands full.
Good.
So I'm doing a little bit of work on one of they're doing like an SGO pilot to sort of explore those regulations are going to be modified this year. So looking at what that's going to look like going forward. I've been kind of working on trying to get some more guidance in terms of things that are going on with immigration in New Jersey and for school districts. That one's kind of my big passion project, but it's sort of a bigger picture, long-term initiative. And doing some things with like the team there working on AI. I've got my hands full in a really great way. And it's kind of been, I didn't know how I was gonna feel about working at the Department of Ed, because I do love the classroom so much. But I've been really like pleasantly surprised. It's sort of when people ask, it's like it's igniting a different part of my brain, if that makes sense.
yeah.
So it's been really great. But yeah, so I'm at the DOE 3 days a week, and I do work from home a bit on like Thursdays and Fridays, but then those are usually days that I'm out in the field. Maybe I'm visiting a classroom, I'm presenting at a conference, or like giving a speech somewhere. So the flexibility is really nice. It lets you kind of get your hands on things that you normally wouldn't have enough time for.
That's awesome. And, my main question about that is, like, what is it like to be able to go to the bathroom whenever you just need to go to the bathroom? Like, that's...
It's something. I'm like, my desk, it's hilarious. Like, you walk into my cubicle, and I have, like, water, electrolytes, coffee, a Diet Coke, because I'm like, I can drink whatever I want. I can go to the bathroom whenever I want.
There's no limit. There's no limitation for you that way.
I just have like a hoard of beverages.
Yeah.
Today I went, I had a duty day, but I also, I covered Jamie's class today. And it was a day we go 6 periods in a row, so I had to do my usual text to Brittany DeMeglio. Hi, shout out Brittany, because I know she listens. Because our usual is like when we're covering 6 periods in a row, we like, send out the bat signal like, hey, I need you to come during this period at some point so I could just use the bathroom.
Please.
Because there's zero time. It's either I use the bathroom or I eat lunch, and I'm not skipping a meal because a cranky Mr. Vitale is an angry Mr. Vitale.
Nobody likes that.
No, nobody likes that.
No.
All the more reason why I steal snacks out of Miss Wanko's desk when I'm covering in her room. I found the good snacks. What are you gonna do?
Good. Did things change for you in terms of your, obviously because our days are not in an office setting. So how did that change? And also, like, did your commute change? Did your routine, right? Because it's sort of this upheaval. And then in September you go back to your classroom? Is that how that works?
Yeah. So yeah, like my drive is definitely. I live in Asbury Park, so like I'm now driving across the state.
Yeah.
It's not a bad drive, and I do have the teacher of the year mobile, as I like to call it. So
Oh.
that sweetens the deal a little bit that I get.
Does
to
somebody
drive a
else
new
drive
car.
you? It's like the Pope Mobile, and you got like a little thing.
Yes,
and
he's got his top hat on.
you wave to everybody. That's adorable. I love it.
So yeah, the commute's a little different, but it's not bad. I'm listening to a lot of audiobooks on my way.
I mean, of
filling-
course,
filling
this
the drive.
podcast would
That's
be
a
on
great
your
podcast to listen
Yeah.
to.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, what do you think in regards to like, as we've met with a bunch of different novice teachers, and you also teach at the university level, if I'm not mistaken, correct?
Yeah, at Monmouth and Georgian Court.
Is that for like specifically for the ELL program, or is this like novice teacher training kind of programs that you're involved with?
Yeah. So the classes that I'm typically teaching, so at Monmouth University, in the past I've taught for grad students, but the most recent classes I've taught are for undergrads, and it's sort of their first coursework exposing them to multilingual learners. So all students take this class regardless of whether they're going to get the ESL certification or not.
I love
Which I
that.
think is a really good thing. Yeah, a lot of
That-
programs
that's
now
excellent.
are doing that.
Yeah, that's really good.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Because it's like we are all going to be multilingual educators in some capacity. You're going to have a student in your classroom that is English is not their first language.
Yes.
That's going to become the norm. It kind of is the norm now, right? Like we've all
Oh, yeah.
experienced it. But yeah, so at Monmouth I teach undergrads a class that's kind of their first exposure to it, and then at Georgian Court, typically more of my class is getting the ESL certification. But some people might be like in their literacy program, but those are graduate students. So it's kind of nice at the two universities I get sort of the two different age groups. Georgian Court, a lot of times I have teachers that are already in the field and they're going back for this certification. Whereas Monmouth, I get, they're babies in my eyes, like 19-year-olds, and they're fresh Bambi eyes to the world.
I love that.
That's
I love
really
that. All
that's
the
really
hope.
interesting
Yeah.
about the fact that they're taking a class to get themselves some exposure to being a multilingual educator, because like again we're not getting that training, and I don't know if it's just not coming down the pike yet, or if there's like a plan of how we're gonna make sure that we can service these children that are in our classes better, because I want to get better at it. Have you ever thought, I work in education, why is finding a job so weirdly hard?
Yeah, scrolling through random job boards where half the listings don't even make sense is not the vibe.
That's why njschooljobs.com actually makes sense.
It's a job board built specifically for New Jersey schools, public, private, charter, and parochial.
Teachers, administrators, counselors, support staff, coaching opportunities. If your job involves a bell schedule, this site's for you.
It's free for job seekers. You can upload your resume, set job alerts, and apply without jumping through hoops.
Schools across New Jersey actively use njschooljobs.com, so these are real, current openings.
They also host virtual job fairs where you can connect with multiple districts online. No driving all over the state.
Those are coming up soon, so check the link in our episode description to register.
Head to njschooljobs.com. Every teacher knows that the first 5 minutes of class set the tone for everything that comes after. Lesson Launchpad helps you nail those first 5 minutes without scrambling. Presentations change automatically. Timers start automatically. Music sets the mood. Agendas and reminders appear right on time without you clicking anything. You set it up once, and Lesson Launchpad runs your class in the background while you focus on students. It's like having another teacher in the classroom with you. Check out lessonlaunchpad.com to start a 1-month free trial and use the code BALANCE for $5 off a yearly subscription. If you're ready to start every class calm, clear, and ready to teach, check out Lesson Launchpad today.
What do you think, or where I should start if I have to go it on my own?
Well, what I kind of am hoping that more districts will start to do is turn to the ESL teachers you already have. Give them PD opportunities, or maybe pay those teachers to run workshops. Use the experts that are in your building, and obviously you can turn, I think, the people around you, because those teachers are also going to know your students. Turn to them and ask for advice. But beyond that, I think really trying to familiarize yourself with the WIDA standards. They can be really helpful. So in 2020, WIDA are the standards that we use in New Jersey. We're one of like 48 states that use these standards. And in 2020, they kind of redid them to align with the different content areas. So there's now standards for every grade level for language arts, for math, science, and social studies. And I think for teachers that are kind of at a loss of like, what do I need to focus on? Like, how do I help these students? That can be a really good starting point, especially like if you have your students' access scores. So if you know what level they're at currently, some of that WIDA information can kind of help you paint a better picture of where your student's at now and where you want to be reaching towards. And that I think helps a lot to kind of guide like, okay, how can I differentiate this quiz I'm making? What do I need to include in this slideshow so they can participate in the lesson? And Weed also too has a lot of really great like free resources online as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And thankfully,
I was able to take an online course through Stockton University, and I thought that was extremely helpful. And of course, just like you said, we have some excellent ELL. I know there's so many. It's like ELL, ML, ESL. They're all I know.
Yeah.
I took the course, and for a while I was saying our MLs. And people were like, huh? So I, kind of went back to like the ESL because that seemed to be like what everybody kind of understood as, the broad.
Especially like that's what's still attached to the cert name.
Mm-hmm.
You're still getting certified in English
ESL.
as a second language. But like I think problematic with that is like so many of my students, English is not their second language. It's their third or fourth.
Right.
We have a lot of students in my school who grew up speaking an indigenous language, and then Spanish was actually their second language, but they might not have ever learned to read and write it in school. So they have this like complex linguistic background that sometimes I think just saying English is their second language like negates all of these other funds of knowledge that they have. Because it's pretty incredible. I had a student, he was my student this year before sabbatical, but I also had him in 5th grade. And he grew up until he came to the United States speaking Mixe, which I think is the second or third rarest language in the world. It's from like the mountains of Guatemala.
Wow.
So we were trying, and he didn't know the name of it. So we were trying to figure out the name of this language and putting the pieces together. Like, okay, he understands Spanish and he can speak it, but sometimes I feel like I lose him in a lesson if I'm using Spanish. And we had to put together this picture of like, oh, okay, Mixe was his first language. Spanish was his second. He never fully learned how to read and write it, and now he's also learning English at the same time.
Oh.
Yeah.
Good Lord.
But when you think about that, then, when you have that student in front of you, like, I know what you're saying before, Joe, like, as a teacher, sometimes we see that, and we're like, oh my, like, how am I going to help this kid? Like, you kind of have that moment of panic. Yeah. And it's easy to fall into the deficit lens. Like, that is, that's human nature, I think, sometimes, is to think like this, okay, this is going to be a burden on me, and you see the negative. But if you think about what that kid is doing on a daily basis in school, like there's an indigenous language that's so different than the language he's hearing in class. He's interacting with peers in 2 languages that like his brain is like exploding on a daily basis. It's incredible. And if we can find ways to tap into that, our multilingual learners are sometimes the smartest kids in our room, but we just have to find a way to access their content knowledge and pull it out.
Right.
Yeah.
We work with someone, and I really like her, and she and I have become very good friends. And English is not her first language, and was such an eye-opening thing for me. And I realize, as and I always say to the kids, like, New Jersey, and I have an accent, and I know that I have an accent, and I appreciate that. So I'm trying as hard as I can, to get everybody's pronunciations and everything correct all the time. But she had said something to us, to the colleagues in the teacher's room, which was like, when you're all talking at the same time, you pretty much all sound the same to me, and I'm not always sure what you're even saying. And she's fluent in English. She teaches science. She's really, and I thought, my goodness, if you are saying that, it really changed the way that I looked at my MLL students in my classroom and the pacing in which even I was going to, or the volume of what was happening around them, because they had to really isolate sometimes, you know, and be able to kind of hone in on what it was that, you know, they were trying to understand or what we were saying. And it was just like, wow, Stella, thank you for saying, you know, it was just one of those like, yeah. Because you don't even assume that like the speed in which you're going is going to complicate things, or as many people talking at the same time is hard. Yeah.
Like I consider myself unfluent in Spanish, but still sometimes, like, I remember, I think as you're learning a language, you have these moments where you're like, oh, okay, I thought I was fluent then, but like now I'm really fluent. And then you have another experience and you're like, it's, you know, when it's not your native language, you're always going to be a learner. So it's almost like milestones instead of like, I'm fully fluent now. But the first time I went out to a bar with my colleagues in Spain, and it's like when multiple people are talking at once, your brain, like you're doing all this in your prefrontal cortex and you're trying to track all these different conversations at the same time. And I would just do the nod and smile like, see, because I was not following. If I spoke one-on-one to somebody, I was great. But the second I was trying to clock in and follow different things, it's a lot. So when you think about those kids doing that, especially like as we get into middle school grades and high school grades where you're changing classes, you have a different teacher, you have a different way that they speak, way that they run things. Like, it's really amazing what multilingual learners can handle in a day. Like, I feel like I'd go home and take a 3-hour nap.
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
sure.
when we spoke with Miss Lockenauer, she kind of explained to us, and I just thought it was so cool. So I'd love to, if you would share with us. She had explained when she found out that she was given Teacher of the Year. Would you be able to share with us like how you found out and what that looked like for you?
Yeah. So my principal did a pretty good job of tricking me because there's this like, I knew I was a finalist in the summer. And then we actually all the finalists got emails saying that we didn't get it. So they're kind of trying to trick you. So there is the element of surprise.
Okay.
But then like we kind of knew that and didn't. And then we're like, okay, but like who actually won? We don't know. So my principal had told me that the county commissioner was coming to do like an interview on the Friday that they were actually coming to surprise me, because he wanted me to like make sure I put on something nice and did my hair that day. So I was like, thank you, Mr. Brovac, shout out. So then but you know, the day's going on and like nobody, I'm like, okay, I don't know when the interview's happening. I'm going through my normal day, whatever I'm teaching. And I'm in the middle of a lesson and my kids were like being like kind of rowdy. I forget what we were doing, some sort of like sort. So they were walking around, they were talking, all good stuff. But there's like a knock at the door and my superintendent walks in and she's like, I got called down, like someone's complaining, it's like really loud in here, like, and then I kind of like had that moment where I'm like, then I don't remember what she said, because I saw behind her, I see like the commissioner of education, I see all these people I don't necessarily recognize behind her, and I was like, and I looked around and my students were like, what's happening? Because they also, this is my newcomer group. So these people walk in and they're explaining what's happening and my students are kind of looking at each other like, Miss Ober, like, ¿qué está pasando? Like, what's happening? And I had to, after they left, I had to like debrief and explain. But it was really great because they, you know, got to kind of come in seeing me like in action with the kids. And, you know, they like brought me flowers. It was really sweet. But then I had to keep it a secret for a few weeks. And those were the longest, like 3 weeks of my life.
Wow.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, because you formally announce it like in a press release on October 8th. Typically, that's when you do it every year. So I had to keep it on, you know, obviously texted my family group chat immediately like, you're not going to believe what just happened. But then I was like, you can't tell anyone.
That's the very cool payoff for that monsoon moment, right? I mean, when you were thinking back, I'm sure that might have popped into your head about like, maybe I am in the right place. You know, that's really cool that you were able to experience that and that you're able to do all these amazing things and like be passionate about education, and not only that, but teach the next generation of people that are going to replace Jamie and I. Sooner rather than later.
Sooner rather
Yeah,
than later.
Since someone said I'm 80. Yeah,
Ouch.
no, for sure. Yeah, she gave me a card. Happy 80th birthday. I mentioned that on our opening. So,
Wow.
yeah, she's fun.
But it isn't. I mean, we both kind of have like 10 years or less in the classroom at this point.
Yeah.
Wow.
Until we can retire. So, it's a coming. So yes, we're gonna need
That's
you
amazing.
to teach all of the all those
But,
young ends.
But I'm also not. That's why I keep asking the questions about where to get started and where to go. Because when you took the Stockton course that you were talking about before, I was not at a point in my life where I could receive any additional information. Right? You get to a point where you're like, I can't. And it's not that I didn't want to. It just was like these are things that I need to accomplish right now, and what I was not focused on was that. And I'm like, so I do wish they offered something like that again, so I could, really kind of dive into it a little bit deeper and get a little bit more understanding. Because I feel that we're doing this, let's train the trainer, and we're getting like a watered down version of what we really should be learning about from people that come in to do the PD. And I'm not saying that they're not qualified, but
No, yeah, but
they're not as expert rich as someone who does this all the time.
Yeah.
That really could give us the strategies we can put into practice that are going to help us, service our students in the classroom. So
I think another good group to definitely reach out to or join is so NJ TESOL NJBE is a statewide advocacy group. I'm part of that. They have a conference every year, but they do a lot of amazing work and bring in speakers, run webinars, and kind of at all levels of multilingualism. So ways to get parents involved. So they do even parent academies where parents can come and sign on and learn to better advocate for their children. They do workshops for teachers. They do things about the intersection of special education and multilingual education. They're really they have their finger on the pulse of everything that's happening in the state, and just have a really great group of people running it that have been doing the work for a long time.
yeah,
Even before, not that multilingual, before multilingualism became this bigger topic that we're all talking about. They have a lot of people on the board and in the organization that have kind of been working with these students since day one. So
I
definitely
also
a great
think
place to turn to.
and again, this we're all three of us are from New Jersey, right? We live in a state that is incredibly diverse, and I think that there might be some other teachers in other areas of our state even that are we got a small class of ELL students. What do I need to get myself started for this for? Why do I need to learn about this? And it's coming. You know what I mean? I just think that there's constant changes and shifts in education, and I think this is one of them where we're going to continue to see more and more ELL students come into regular education classrooms that are going to need to be instructed properly, and us having the right knowledge base to be able to do that, I think is going to be very valuable. So even if you're listening and it's we don't have a large ELL population in our district, you will eventually. I just feel that if you're going to be in the career for however long, I think it's going to be, and it's increasing over time in our school. Now it has decreased because we're no longer the ELL magnet school, because we had seen such an influx of ELL students that our building was busting at we were we got to.
And you can't just have all of those kids in one school.
No, it was a lot, and
it's kind of you're segregating kids based on their language needs. It's just not, even though it might be easier, it doesn't make it the right thing to do.
Right.
Correct. Yeah, and that's why the move was made, and I think that there's a need for students for teachers, for prospective teachers, to get that additional certification. I know that was kind of the theme of you touched on that event you did at Monmouth, right? That was kind of the theme of your event, was hey, why is it good to get this extra stamp, if you will, on your certification for when you graduate? And I think that's going to be for to be able to serve your students better, to be able to find a job a lot easier, right? Although there is a teacher shortage, you're going to make yourself a much more desirable candidate to be in the classroom.
Yeah, and there's kind of this myth that like that if you get an ESL certification, you're never going to be any other kind of teacher again. But I would argue the opposite, and it's something we kind of talked about at this event. Like, multilingual learners are going to be a part of all of our classrooms now, so you're broadening your knowledge. And really too, like when you actually break down the types of accommodations and scaffolding you're providing and things that you're doing in a classroom to help your multilingual learners, it's really just best practices. Like, anything that you're doing to help these students is not going to hurt any of your other students in the classroom. You're adding in more visuals. You're providing different reading levels. Like, just because a student, maybe English is their first language, doesn't mean maybe there's other struggling readers in your classroom. Like, it gives, you're just really doing things that are providing opportunities for everyone to learn in a different way, essentially. So I think that's kind of part of the shift that we have to make as well, is I think, like, if everyone can get this training, it's really just making us better teachers overall. It's not like this extra burden that we have to take on. I think it's just bettering our practice, because, like, we have to adapt with our students.
Yeah, that's
how our students are changing. So
yeah,
we
and
just
that's what I mean. Yeah,
but I think sometimes the idea, especially for teachers, and so many of them, could fit into that like type A mold. It's like, well, I can't do it unless I do it 100% correctly and be trained. And it's and it's sort of like, it's okay if you start somewhere. Just
get out of my head, Jamie.
And
yeah,
so
you don't have to do it perfectly. And I think too,
Right.
like,
No, I know.
those students aren't expecting perfection. I actually think when you do it imperfectly, you're building stronger relationships with those kids, because it gives them, like, the number one thing that you need as a multilingual learner is you can't be afraid to take, like, I call them language risks. Like, every day you're asking your students to be brave, because, like, it's scary to show up and try to speak in front of your peers in another language and experiment with this new language that you're learning. So, like, if you can model to them, like, hey, this is new to me and I'm going to do my best, like, those are the most effective teachers I see. And they might not be doing, like, oh my God, you made this the best differentiated math test I've ever seen in my life. It's that they've shown that student that they're willing to try to make it work for them.
Yeah.
And then when that relationship happens between that teacher and student, you have the buy-in. Like, those kids are going to show up and try. And then you're kind of meeting each other halfway. That kid's not shut off, like, well, I don't know English, this is impossible.
Right.
Like, to me doing this in the classroom is not in any way a burden. And if I gave that impression, I apologize.
No.
Because
So
to me,
I'm speaking in general
like,
terms.
Yeah, but, like, to me, like, a burden is
He's
like,
so touchy.
hey. I'm taking all your Snickers bars out of the drawer. Okay. You had almond joys in there too. That's old people candy. I love almond joys.
Me too.
I know.
Good. Yes. But no, like, to me, like, the burden is like, oh, I got to do this security training, and like that to me is like, okay, all right, I'll get to it. Yeah, it'll be done.
Like,
but
let's have some PD that really is actually meaningful.
I'd rather focus on my craft, if you will, and what I'm doing every day in the classroom to make sure that I'm meeting the needs of my students. And I have a great relationship with my co-teacher who does a very good job. Shout out, Mr. Harry, for the work that he does with not just our special education students, but also the ELL students, and the fact that he likes to take those additional risks and kind of takes that on while I'm like the understudy, if you will, like trying to figure it out as I go.
And that's the best foot forward,
Yeah.
But I think you're right. I think you're touching. Oh, sorry, Jamie.
No, it's okay. I had two students last year, two girls, and they were. One was like she was the newest, so very, very almost no English, and the other was on her way of like where she was gonna get out of the program,
Right.
And so we would play they would giggle every day and like, okay, Mrs. Blanco, it's time for your lesson. And they would talk in Spanish, and I would then have to tell them what I believe that they were saying. And we would have like an exchange of back and forth. And it was great. Yeah. And it became like, who were we talking about, or what were we saying, or, and it starts, I think, with like really simple things like that where you can, I'd say, you're going too fast. But the idea of that, and then also, like you said, with presenting, I would say, like, you're going to present, but only to me. And so you and I are going to go in the back of the room and everyone else is busy and they're not looking at you, but I want you, but it takes some time and it takes some trust. And then I would try as best as I could to, give them a little like, oh, I'm going to try in another language and let me, and then they would giggle and say like, what? You don't think I sound great? But I feel like any little things like that make such a big difference. And
it shows
I
that
even I even normally go one step further with things like that. Like, hey, you're going to present just to me, but you're going to choose a friend, and then choose somebody that you don't know in class. I make them like, oh God, no, I know you know that person. Don't that's who you are. Like, give me somebody that like, somebody that you would want to get, and I try to like give them some like options of like kids that I know would be willing, and then kind of pull them aside and be like, hey, you're going to listen to a presentation. Just try to be a good listener. I think that also gives them the opportunity to feel a little bit of nerves, which is okay. But also that
good like growing pains.
Yeah, I think so. Absolutely. Yeah. So,
sure.
Yeah, Jillian, I mean, I appreciate you, Jillian, and you too, Jamie.
I appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
And we are really excited because now we know that we are going to hunt you down at the NJEA convention in the fall.
Yeah.
And you're going to
We'll be back.
Yes, and you're going to give us a good interview. We know it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
So, and before we close off, let's make sure that
let me just say that season 3 is brought to you by our presenting sponsor, Teachers Insurance Plan. Check out their website below for more information and to get a quote. Teachers Insurance Plan, auto insurance that brings exclusive educator savings and exceptional customer care to New Jersey and Pennsylvania educational employees.
Woohoo! Well, Jillian, thank you for the knowledge and congratulations again.
Thank you guys. This is so great.
Yes,
I ripped off the first podcast Band-Aid.
Yeah, you did
were
awesome.
A natural, of course.
And I know your reign is this year, but maybe you'll win again next year in the American Gladiator like competition, and maybe serve 2 years in a row.
the parking lot smackdown.
All right, we'll see everybody next time on the Balancing Act podcast.
Thanks,
Bye.
guys.
Look for the Balancing Act podcast every week on your favorite podcast platform. New episodes drop every Tuesday. Thank you for being a part of our audience. We appreciate you.